back in the woods.
Okay. And now you can see what we've got. We've taken an unusable point and we've basically made it a usable point again. And like I said, this little tail on here is not a big deal because that's just going to help it seat in the arrow better, deeper into the arrow shaft. So now let's look at this thing. This is our arrow shaft. Let's see what that looks like in there. See, that's going to sit down in there just like that. Now, here's the thing. If we want to get these notches down below this point, we're going to have to take some more off the back end of this. Okay, because our notches are pretty high up there. If we want to get this thing really good and buried into this arrowhead, we're going to have to take that back part off as well. So let's go ahead and knock a little bit more off of that. And kind of square it up, I guess. I wasn't going to bother doing that, but it looks like I'm going to have to get that to seat right. But again, we're taking what was basically something we were going to throw away and making it usable again. Okay, now we've got this. Just reprofiled a little bit, that's all. Not a big deal. Let's see what we got going on here now. See what that looks like. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting down. Now we've got more of a small game point and not really a big game point, although I'm pretty confident, you know, that thing would go through a deer and kill it without a problem. But it, you know, to meet the legal limit in Ohio, it's got to be 3/4 of an inch of cutting surface, so that probably doesn't quite make it. But that'll be a great small game arrow. Now we just need to lash it on there and pine pitch it up. Stay with me. Okay guys, so while I'm waiting on this pine pitch to melt back down, I'm just going to use a piece of bank line here. This is the heavy stuff, the 325-pound test, and I'm going to take one strand out of it. To do that, I just pull on it like this and untwist it. Choke up on it. Just like that. Now I've got 3 pieces in my hand pretty much. I'll throw one over there to the side. Now I'll just take this one and straighten it out. And you could use natural cordage for this as well. Now what we got to do is we've got to lash this on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my arrow and I'm just going to dip it in my pine pitch a little bit. And I'm going to seat my point in there just like that. And make sure that it's steadied up and squared up like I want it. Make sure it's sitting exactly where I want it. Okay. Now I've got it in there exactly the way I want it now. And that adhesive in there will dry very, very quickly. Then I'm just going to take my lashing and I'm going to start in the center and get in my notch here a little bit, just like this, and pull it across like that and down. And then I'm just going to snug it down like that. Okay. So you can see now I've got a cross pattern on top of that arrowhead. And I'm going to do the same thing from the other side. I'm going to come around and down. And the same thing with this one. I'm going to come around and down. Okay. And that gives me a double lash over on that arrowhead. I'm hoping you guys are being able to see this real good. Then I'm just going to wrap around a couple times down this way. Like this. Whoop. Let loose of it there. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail hanging down right there and come back with the other side and wrap it around this way, like this. Okay. So then when I'm done, what I've got is something that's going to look like this. And I'm going to try to push that down with my hands and maybe get a little bit of pine pitch on there just to hold it where it needs to go. So I'll get a little bit of this melted pine pitch and put it on there just like this. Like that. And when that dries, that should hold that in place. Okay, so you can see what I've got now. I hope you guys can see that good. I think you can. Now I'm looking at the profile of it to make sure it's straight before I put the rest of the adhesive on there. I want to make sure it's sitting good and straight in the arrow. Okay, so it's going to fly right. Then I'm going to start painting adhesive on it. Now I'm going to get my pine pitch I've got sitting down here wet. And I'm going to paint those lashings with that pine pitch. Just like that. Okay, now as this thing starts to dry and get cool, I'm just getting everything in place with my fingers, make sure everything's nice and where I want it and tight. Make sure it's straight one more time. And then I just need to let it dry off. And we should be good. Should have a functioning arrow again. Okay guys, once that thing cools down, you know, we've got an arrow that's ready to shoot again. You can clean some of that pine residue off of that tip if you want to. You can scrape it off your fingernail or, you know, a rag, piece of leather, whatever, steel wool. But it doesn't matter to me. It's going to cut and kill just as easy with it on there as with it off. So there you go. Now we've got an arrow that's repaired. We've resharpened our broadhead, which is the beauty of flint. You can resharpen it like you can steel. As long as you understand the basics of doing it. We've made a smaller arrowhead by a small margin, but we have a functioning arrowhead and we didn't have to make another one. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this short video on how to repair a broken stone arrowhead and put it back on the shaft. I appreciate everything that you guys do for me. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your views. I appreciate everything you do for my family and for my business. And I never forget where I come from, so I'm always going to be here, guys, passing on the tribal knowledge. Thank you.